Okay, we're going to skip over to 7.5. Apply the tangent ratio. Now, what's a trigonometric ratio? Trigonometric ratios are the ratio of side lengths in a right triangle. Okay, then tangent. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. So let's move over here and talk about what trigonometry means. Okay, well, you know I'm a fan of silly stories, so here's a silly story for you. A long time ago, there was an island, and on this island was a big volcano. It was called Krakatoa. And this volcano wasn't erupting yet, so let me take off this, but it had started rumbling underneath, and scientists wanted to be there when it started erupting so they could take some measurements and see, and then escape really quickly in their little boat. So a group of scientists took 2 weeks off from their jobs, and they went in the boat and camped on the shore. So let's draw the little boat here. And they wanted to take some measurements of Krakatoa right before it erupted. Well, a few days went by, and it rumbled, and it rumbled, and then a few more days went by, and it rumbled, and it rumbled. And pretty soon it was time for their 2-week vacation to be over, but the volcano still hadn't erupted. And they were getting mad at Krakatoa. And so one of the scientists went over, and he pulled back his leg, and he kicked it. And he said, "Krakatoa, erupt." And you know what he had to do after he kicked it? He had to go soak his toe. Guess it broke his toe? Okay, yeah, I know it's a silly story. But from this, you can memorize that so, ka, toa, is the name of our trigonometric ratios. And here's what this means. S means sine. On your calculator, it's abbreviated sin, but it really means sine, so don't say sin. The C in ka means cosine. Now on your calculator, it's abbreviated COS. The T means tangent. Again, it's abbreviated TAN. The O are opposite. It stands for the opposite side. A stands for adjacent side. And H, you probably can guess it, means hypotenuse. So, if I have a right triangle, let's use our 3, 4, 5, the one that I have memorized. If we have a right triangle, 3, 4, 5, and we pick an angle out of here, not the right angle, because we know it's right and we don't need to know anything about it. So let's look at this angle. Let's say it's angle A. Now, we can make the ratios of these sides and with our trigonometry. So the sine of A would equal what? So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So if we look at this angle here, what side is opposite? Well, it's 3. Over what side's the hypotenuse? 5. So the sine of whatever angle that is would equal 3 over 5. Now, how about the cosine of A? Cosine is co, adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent to A means hooked on to A. And what side is hooked on to A that's not the hypotenuse? What's the 4? And then over the hypotenuse is 5. Now the tangent of A would equal TOA, so tangent is opposite 3 over adjacent 4. Okay, now let's label this one B. What's the sine of B? Well, the sine of B, let's write it down. B, sine is so, opposite 4 over hypotenuse 5. Well, if you look, the sine of B is the cosine of A. So they're all kind of interrelated. And that's why you don't want to just memorize positions in the triangle. You want to memorize opposite over hypotenuse or adjacent over hypotenuse, because it's too confusing if you don't. Okay, let's go back over here and start with the notes again. Okay, tangent ratio. Let ABC be a right triangle with acute angle A. The tangent of angle A, written as tan A, is defined as the following. Tangent is TOA, opposite over adjacent. So here's A. What side is opposite? Is B to C. What side is adjacent, hooked onto A that's not the hypotenuse? It's this one, B to A. Okay, so find the tangent ratios. Example 1. Write each answer as a fraction and as a decimal rounded to 4 places. This is kind of a standard trigonometry value. So tan of S. Again, tan is TOA. So opposite over adjacent. So opposite is what value? 60. Adjacent is 25. How did I know it was not 65? Well, 65 is not adjacent because it's the hypotenuse. Okay, now 60 over 25 is 12 over 5 if I reduce it. And that is 2.4. Okay, now the tan of R is opposite of R. So 25 over adjacent to R, 60. It's just a flipped over version of the first one, isn't it? So 5 over 12, and that equals 0.4167. Okay, right now you should be saying, well, this is kind of interesting, but I don't know what they're good for. And that's okay, because we're fixing to get there. So hang tight. Okay, checkpoint. Find tan A and tan C. Now, start the video again when you're through. Okay. Find the leg length. So this is what it's good for. If we know the tangent of an angle, and we know the angle itself, then we can find the unknown leg of a triangle. So we know that the tan of this angle 31 is, tan is opposite over adjacent. So what's opposite of 31? 17. What's adjacent to 31 is x. Now we need to know what x is. So we need to multiply both sides of the equation by x. Why do we do this? To get x on top. Okay, so I can take those away, can't I? And then I have x times a tan of 31 equals 17. So let's write that. X times tan of 31 equals 17. Now I want tan by itself, or I want x by itself, so I need to divide by the tan of 31. So now I can mark out these. So I just have x equals 17 over tangent 31. So on your calculator, punch in 17 and then hit divide. And then I usually like to put this in parentheses just to make sure I divide by the right thing. So 17 divided by parentheses tan 31 parentheses. And you should get the number, just a second, 28.3. Okay? Okay, so here's a story problem with this. Find the height of a lighthouse. So, I know that the 62 degrees is tan of 62 equals opposite over adjacent. So let's go ahead and put that in. Tan 62 equals opposite is h, adjacent is 100. Ooh, so this one's not going to be that complicated, is it? Because now all I have to do is plug in my calculator, tan 62, and then multiply that number by 100. I like to press equal after 62 just to get again, a good value and make sure I do it right. And then you should get 188. Okay? I would tell you to go ahead and try that and make sure you're punching it in right. Okay, next page. Okay, we're not going to do 4 right now because I skipped that lesson, so just mark it off. And then let's look at the checkpoints. Go ahead and do 2. Let me help you set it up. So on 2, we can say that the tan of 63 equals opposite, so 13, over x. You need to get x by itself on top. Okay. On 3, the tan of 59 equals opposite is x over 21. Get x by itself again just by multiplying both sides by 21. And you do not have to do 4.